Okay, this is Mr. Elmhorst with the homework assignment for multiplying and dividing integers, the second one. So let's take a look at the engaging question. So when we look at addition, repeated addition, we can do, when you have positives, 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can actually say that that is 5 groups. You have 5 groups of 5, and that is 25. Now these groups inside parentheses, if there's no symbol out here, you can assume that that means multiplication, and you can put a little multiply symbol in there. And here, and we have groups of -5. So we have -5, -5, -5. So if we just write that as a group, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 times 5 is still going to be the same thing, 25. And this is multiplication. So, and there are no double negatives. So there's 5 groups of these, and these are negatives. So you would end up with 25 negatives if you had added up all those integers. So we're going to look at the real world situations and write an addition expression and an equivalent multiplication expression for the same situation. So we have the temperature dropped 3 degrees every hour for 4 hours. So we could write this as -3, there's 1 hour, and -3, there's 2 hours, and -3, that's 3 hours, and -3 for 4 hours. So this is equal to -3, -3, -3. So the -3 times 4. So it went down 3, 6, 9, 12 degrees. 4 times 3 is 12. And the temperature is going straight down, so that would be -12 degrees. So the hiker descended the mountain 500 feet every hour for 3 hours. So descended means you are going down the mountain. So that would be a -500 feet every hour. So if we have -500 feet, it went down, and it was 3 hours, so then there's 1 hour, 2 hours, and 3 hours. 1, 2, 3 hours. So another way we could write that is -500 feet times 3. And we could actually even put a little dot in there. That means multiplication as well. So 3 times -500. So 500, 1,000, 1,500. So that would be 1,500 feet that the hiker had gone down the mountain. So the airplane descended 500 feet every minute for 2 minutes. So the plane is descending 5,000 feet. So descending means it's going down. So we got -5,000 feet. And that's 1 minute. And this happened for 2 minutes. So another way to write that would be -5,000 times 2. And you put a little solid, little dot symbol in there. So that's 5,000 and 5,000. So that would be a total of 10,000 feet. 10,000 feet. And this would actually be feet up here too. So 10,000 feet that the plane had descended coming into the airport. And one more, there's 3 withdrawals, and withdrawals mean that you are taking money out of the account, and that was $100 each time. So there's 3 times, but it's $100. So 100, 200, and $300 coming out. Okay, so that would be 3 times 100, 3 times -100. So the account went down $300. Okay, so just some quick question here. What's the opposite of dropping 12 degrees? The opposite of dropping 12 degrees would be adding 12 degrees. What's the opposite of descending 1500 degrees? It would be ascending. The opposite of descending 10,000 feet would be ascending. And the opposite of withdrawing would be depositing. Okay, so that would be the opposite of dropping, that is increase. And descending, the opposite would be ascending. And ascending for this one as well. And then the opposite of withdrawing would be deposit. So we're going to explore the models down here just a little bit. So we're going to draw the counter chips and then we're going to circle the groups. So it says make two groups of positive 4. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. There's one group, and now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So two groups of positive 4 it will give us positive 8. Make two groups of negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's one group. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so that is a total of negative 8. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Make two opposite groups of positive 3. So now it says opposite groups. So we have 1, 2, 3. And then we put the negative on the outside, and then 1, 2, 3. So the opposite of positive would be negative 6. And it says two opposite groups of negative 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we put a negative on the outside, so the negative of these groups, the opposite of these groups, would be positive 6. Okay, so we're just going to do a little modeling on the back. So there's two groups, so we're going to label this two groups of negative 2. We're going to go negative 2. And then we're going to do it again, negative 2. And then just label negative 2, negative 2. And that is going to equal negative 4. So it looks like we have negative 2. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. So each one of these is negative 2. So we could say negative 2 times 1, 2, 3, 4. Times 4. Negative 2 times 4, there's 4 jumps, 4 groups, and then you're going to end up at negative 8 is the result. So we have negative 2, negative 2, negative 2. So that's going to be our group, negative 2 times 1, 2, 3. So we got 1, 2, 3. 3 times 2 is 6. And then these are all going in the negative direction. Going to end up with negative 6. So we have negative 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So it looks like we have a group of negative 3. And we have 1, 2, 3 of them, 3 groups of negative 3, and that's going to be equal to negative 9. So we're just going to do quick processing down below, and you may want to use the integer triangle and draw a quick one here. So this means division over here, and this means multiplication over here. So we're going to multiply. So 1 times 9 is 9. And a negative times a positive is going to be negative. 2 times 50 is 100. A negative times a positive is going to be negative. Okay, 7 times 7 is 49. And a negative times a negative, double negatives multiplying is going to give you positive. Okay, 3 times 100 is 300, and then a negative times a negative is a positive. So this means division. The top is being divided by the bottom. So 14 divided by 2 is 7. And then a negative divided by a positive, negative divided by a positive is going to be negative. 26 divided by 13 is going to be 2. 2 times 13 is 26. 26 divided by 2 is 13. And then a positive divided by a negative divided by a negative is going to be a negative. 45 divided by 5 is 9. And a negative divided by a negative, the double negatives divided will give you a positive. And 11 divided by 1 is 11. And a negative divided by a negative will be, negative divided by negative will be a positive.